Welcome back. The National Governing Coalition, known as the Government of National Unity, the GNU, survives to fight another day. The Democratic Alliance's much-anticipated media briefing, which came after President Cyril Ramaphosa dismissed its 48-hour ultimatum, has elicited mixed responses. Prior to the deadline's expiry, the party had raised expectations of a drastic response to the president's dismissal of its member, Andrew Whitfield, from the position of Deputy Minister of Trade, Industry and Competition, going as far as saying, quote-unquote, all bets are off with regard to its response. But in the end, the party opted to stay in the government of national unity and rather exit from the national dialogue process as a form of protest. But party leader John Steenhuisen has again emphasized that the DA has had enough of being treated like a junior partner in a government built on compromise. So let's speak to Democratic Alliance National Spokesperson Willie Aucamp, who joins me now to take that conversation forward. Good afternoon to you, Willie, and thank you for your time. Let me suggest to you that you were solely responsible for people expecting a drastic response to President Ramaphosa dismissing your ultimatum, simply because you had said words such as, you don't foresee, I think it was Andrew Whitfield himself who said, I don't foresee the DA continuing to work in the GNU under these circumstances. You had said all bets are off. You had said South Africa's unity has been imperiled greatly. It sounded like the situation, as you read it, required a drastic and firm and decisive response. Many are saying your response yesterday was a dud. It was a damp squib in that regard.
Good afternoon, Tulas. Tulas, firstly, no, it was not a feeble attempt. If you look at what we have announced yesterday, there was three things. Now, the first thing is that we will not participate in the national dialogue. We know that the national dialogue is very important for President Ramaphosa. The ANC want to use this to show credibility and to show that they can speak with people. But how can they speak with the people out there if they can't even properly communicate with their biggest partner in this government of national unity? So that was the first thing. The second thing that we've announced is that the Democratic Alliance will not, in the appropriations bill that's coming up in the next 2 weeks, we will not support the budgets of departments that are being run by ministers that have been implicated in corruption and fraud charges. We've seen what the Zondo Commission said. We have seen the VBS looting and what happened there. So the Democratic Alliance will not support those budgets. That is a huge thing. If you're not going to support those budgets, those specific budgets won't go through. So the ball is firmly in President Ramaphosa's court to now see that he can get rid of those ministers. Otherwise, he won't have budgets for them. The third thing that we said is that our federal executive discussed the issue and the possibility of instituting a motion of no confidence against the president. We have decided at this stage that we will not do that now. But should the president not act on what we are asking, and that is for him to fight corruption, that is for the president to show South Africa that he is serious. If he says that he wants to clean out this country from corruption, let him start at his own cabinet. And that is what we are asking him. So if you look at the three actions that the Democratic Alliance have announced, those are serious actions. The other thing is, Tulasizwe, people always expect the worst. The Democratic Alliance have never said that we will exit the GNU. If we say all bets are off, it means that we are looking at all the options that can work under certain circumstances. But I think people out there want to see the drama and the suspense that's going along with that. The Democratic Alliance are the adults in the room. We know the importance of the Democratic Alliance being part of this government of national unity. We know how the economy rely on us being there. We know that we are there to create jobs, to grow this economy. Our ministers that have been there have been working extremely hard to precisely do that. So that is what we are doing. The measures that we've announced yesterday are certainly very strong measures, and we will keep to that.
So for the avoidance of this confusion coming up ever again then, what is your position as the Democratic Alliance in relation to instances where you say all bets are off? In a calibrated manner, the options that are available, are you firmly saying, and for the record saying, that whenever you're weighing those options, you pulling out of the government of national unity of your own accord is not on the table, is not now, and will not be in future?
The Democratic Alliance made a commitment to Lasizwe that we entered this government of national unity to make a difference and to grow the economy, to create jobs, and really to make a difference in the lives of every South African. And as long as we can, within this government of national unity, fulfill that promise of rescuing South Africa, we will remain in the government of national unity. So what we need now is for the president to come out and to show us that he is as serious as we are to root out corruption. It is the president that's got to show this country now that he can lead and that he will not always toe his party line or do what is in the best interest of his party, but that he will do what is in the best interest of South Africa. That is what the Democratic Alliance is doing. John Steenhuisen and our leader have been under attack and have been disrespected on many occasions by the president and within this GNU. But we're not running away from it. We're saying that we will fulfill our promise to the people of South Africa. We now just expect the president to do exactly the same.
Right. Willie, let me turn to an aspect that I must say, while the issue around you exiting from the national dialogue process was the main headline, what really stuck out for me of the measures you announced is the one that says you will not support the budgets of the departments headed up by the likes of Minister Thembisi Melane, Minister Nobuhle Nkabane, and other ministers that you say are compromised within that executive. And I'll tell you why that stood out for me, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong. It strikes me as using that, the budgetary process meant to benefit South Africans, as a bargaining chip. And I don't know how that sits with me, and I don't know how it will sit with many, many South Africans, and how it aligns with what you've been saying consistently, that you are there to serve the interests of the people. And as a result, you have seen the ANC in Parliament saying that they also reserve their options around which budgets to support and which ones to not support. That, for me, Willie, addressed that discomfort that I feel that many other South Africans may feel about their budgetary processes possibly now being used as a bargaining chip.
Tulas, we cannot have it that budgets of billions of rands are being managed by people with tainted histories. You cannot give your purse to somebody that you cannot trust with your money. And that is what we are saying. If we want to act in the benefit of everybody that must benefit from NSFAS, or anybody that must benefit from housing schemes, we must make sure that the person at the helm of that purse are a person with a clean character, not a person that's implicated in serious allegations of fraudulent actions. So that is what we've got to do. If the ANC now wants to play tit for tat and say, well, we're not going to support budgets of DA ministers, then they must ask themselves, are they doing that to be spiteful, or are they doing that to fight corruption? No single one of the DA's ministers have ever been implicated in any form of allegations against them regarding corruption. So what the DA is doing here is we're saying that we will not support the budgets of ministers that have got serious allegations of corruption against them. And if the ANC then want to come and not support budgets of DA ministers, it is a clear indication that the ANC is not willing to fight corruption. We entered this government of national unity with clear intent. If the ANC doesn't want to do that within the national government of national unity, the Democratic Alliance will take the baton and do that. If President Ramaphosa does not want to lead properly and does not want to get rid of corruption in the GNU, the Democratic Alliance will fulfill that role. We will not falter, we will carry on, and we will do that.
Okay,
it is time that we root out corruption at all levels, and we cannot allow money to be spent by people that you cannot trust with that. So what we're insisting on is President Ramaphosa replace those ministers with reliable, trustworthy people from your own party, from any party, but people that can be trusted with the money to be spent towards services for the community.
All right, Willie, hold on for me for a second. I will come back to you in a moment to just tease out a bit more around your withdrawal from the national dialogue process, but also around your thinking around replacing Andrew Whitfield. But I want to take in the views of Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast, who is a political analyst who joins our conversation this afternoon. Prof, good afternoon. You've been listening, I imagine, to my interaction with the DA national spokesperson, Willie Aucamp, as well as observations from yesterday's media briefing. A lot of people questioning the decisions that have come out from the DA and saying that there had been this hype that created expectation that the response was going to be drastic, but in the end, the DA is staying put in the government of national unity. Did the DA create this expectation, or are we being unreasonable? Those who are saying that it was a damp squib.
Thank you very much for having me, Tulas, at short notice. So in the beginning, I think I was sort of like sympathizing with the DA regarding their main line of argument. I think they've got a point when they say that the president has been applying double standards, that what you apply to the left-hand side in the same way you must also apply it to the right-hand side. So I think that argument does have merit. But what beats me, it's when they say that now they are going to withdraw from the national dialogue. Because I think they've always had issues, in my view, with issues pertaining to poverty, unemployment, and so. Because let's face it, those issues, they come down to the issue of race. And I think the DA tends to be very hesitant in terms of engaging in a public discourse on such issues. So that's the first point. Then the second point is with regard to the decision they have made not to support certain budget of certain ministers. They are not doing that because they are vehemently opposed to wrongdoings. They are doing that because they are throwing their toys around. If the straw that is broken, the camel's back, had not happened, they would not have taken this particular position, right? Yeah. So it's got nothing to do with the reasons that they're giving now, that they cannot support a budget of this minister or that minister who is implicated in this and that.
Yeah. All right. I'll come back to you in a moment, Prof. Let me bring in Willie back in the conversation. Willie, around your decision to withdraw from the national dialogue process, again, I'd want you to talk to my sense of discomfort, and perhaps it's felt by others. I don't know. You say in your statement, you describe the national dialogue process as, quote, an electioneering ploy at taxpayer expense to gloss over the serious crises that the ANC has plunged South Africa into. And the point of discomfort for me is you are saying this now, and this national dialogue has been in play for quite some time, and you saying you are withdrawing from it suggests that initially you were prepared to go along with it until you reached this impasse. What are we to make of that? When did you realize that the national dialogue is nothing but an electioneering ploy at taxpayer expense?
To us, when the GNU was formed, we signed a memorandum of understanding that had a sufficient consensus clause in it. And the sufficient consensus clause is also applicable to the, sorry, I'm hearing voices in the background. The sufficient consensus clause are also applicable to the national dialogue. And we made it clear that we must be incorporated in the decision-making with regards to the national dialogue. We saw the announcement by the president of the 30 eminent people's list, and that list wasn't even discussed with us. We cannot have it that the ANC is going forward Sorry, Tulas, I'm hearing voices
All
in
right.
the background
Let's
coming from your studio. I don't know whether
Yeah.
you can hear them as well.
Yeah, I sort of hear something in the background. I think allow us to just fix that and allow you to give a proper answer, because I know it can be hard to think and speak while there are other people speaking at the same
I
time.
can carry on now. They are quiet
I think
now,
it's
so-
better now. Yeah, you're not hearing voices,
All right.
Willie. For
So
the clarity of those who don't understand, it is the crew communicating with various people, and you're catching a bit of that feedback. Yes, please go ahead.
No problem at all. It's fine. People get used to me interrupting them a lot of times, so it's not a problem at all. Tulas, so our problems with regards to the national dialogue came a long way, where from the beginning of the GNU, we have insisted that we must be incorporated in the planning of the national dialogue, in how it's going to be rolled out, but that has not happened. Again, the ANC ignored the sufficient consensus clause. President Ramaphosa came and he announced the names of 30 eminent people. We were not consulted in that process, and that is not how it should work. We cannot allow for this national dialogue to become an ANC roadshow across the country, making as if they're going to speak to people. What we've got to do is we've got to listen to people.
Yeah.
But as John Steenhuisen said, we had a national dialogue last year, and that was called an election. And the election gave the ANC 39% of support. They do not have a majority. And for the ANC to carry on as if they do have a majority is not on the table.
Willie, I'm a bit
So
pressed
they
for
cannot
time.
have this national dialogue on their terms. It must be on everybody's terms.
I'm a bit pressed for time, Willie, but I must say that I'm comfortable, and I understand your reasoning about your discomfort about how the national dialogue process has played itself out. It's the timing of how when you've chosen to be vocal about it. For instance, when that group of 30 eminent persons was announced, you were not as vociferous as you are now in your opposition to the national dialogue, even now saying that you are actually going to actively campaign against it. That's a fresh posture, and I have to ask, why now?
Tulas, we don't go running to the public every time that we've got a problem. The problems that we had with the national dialogue and the way that the president and the ANC approached that was communicated in the GNU. We communicated that to the ANC, but we don't go to the public and the media every time that we've got a difference with the ANC.
Gotcha.
So I can promise you that that has been taken on. We have now come to a point where we could clearly see that they are not going to listen, and that we are now going to use this as leverage for the president to show us that he is serious to root out corruption.
Lastly,
if the president wants us to form part of this, let him root out corruption in his country.
Lastly, and very quickly, Willie, did you at the FedEx decide what you're going to do with Andrew Whitfield's replacement? The president says name any other DA member and I'll appoint him or her.
The FedEx of the Democratic Alliance, under the guidance of our leader, John Steenhuisen, will announce a name. It is our position, and we will fill that position. But that decision has not been taken yet. Our FedEx must still discuss that.
Willie,
as soon as that has been decided, it will be made known to the public.
Willie, I've got to thank you for your time in this interaction this afternoon. That's Willie Aucamp. Let me end it off with another word then from you, Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast. You've heard that further interaction around the differences around the national dialogue, but also what the next steps will be for the DA in relation to filling that position and suggesting a name for President Ramaphosa to appoint into that cabinet. Overall, what do you make of that?
Yeah, the DA is accusing the president of applying double standards, but in the same breath, they are also applying double standards because they accuse the president of being petty, but even themselves, they are being petty. For instance, yesterday they said that, because of the footprint of the DA in the GNU, the government of the GNU is doing well. But also that is being petty. You see, so, you can't have it both ways. So I think this posture of the DA doesn't do any good for the country. There are some politics that both the ANC and the DA they are playing. But the DA and the ANC, I would say to us, they are like senior GNU partners. How do they expect other junior, I'm sorry to say this, GNU partners to behave or to look up to them if they behave in this way? So they are the worst ill-disciplined coalition partners.
All right, I've got to thank you for your time and your insights. That's Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast there, weighing in on that the goings on inside the Government of National Unity and the next steps from the Democratic Alliance. I think a big takeout for me is that the DA will, in the coming days, suggest a name to President Ramaphosa to replace the dismissed Deputy Minister Andrew Whitfield.